Okay guys, this is part 2 of how I cured my morning grumpiness with shadow work. Okay, so again, like last time, we're going to watch some clips of me being ugly, crying, being disgusting, and just kidding, doing shadow work on the phenomenon that I was super grumpy in the morning, to the point that it scared my girlfriend. Okay, the effects stayed away for 2 years because this video is 2 years old, so this does work. I talked about this in the previous video, so I'm not going to explain it again. But basically, we're finding the root of the problem here. And we did that in 2 sessions. The first session, we found one part of the root of the problem in my childhood. And that was related to a scene that was basically repeating itself over and over again during my teenage years, which is like when I was waking up, it would mean I would have to go to school. It would mean that I was being sent to a place where I was being, emotionally tortured from the child's perspective, right? And so that was one part of why, like, being jolted out of my current state by a person was so triggering for me. All right, and so I sensed that there was more to it. Trauma is compounded on multiple layers. So I talked about the multiple layers of your psyche in other videos, where like your conscious thoughts and beliefs and everyday experiences layers, like called the third line. Then there below that is like your childhood feelings and childhood pains, and your childhood trauma is like the second line. And then the first line is like your early pains and trauma and feelings, which is basically located in the brainstem, and it really deals with things that happened before birth or like right after birth. And oftentimes trauma can be compounded by multiple layers, like something already happened before that was traumatic, before birth or like right after birth, like before you're 1 year old, something traumatic happened, and then that pain is there. It's already like messing with you, but then something else happened in childhood that looks like that, and because the brain is basically working with like symbols and metaphors, it sees the parallel between those, and it turns into one big trauma where like one thing refers to the other thing, and it compounds upon itself. So it was not just about me having to go to school in childhood, being woken up to going to school. There was also a point where I was being woken up and not being ready to be woken up yet when I was going to get born. And this is where it gets, click away if this is too woo-woo for you. Like, you have to be open-minded, okay? And once you've experienced this, you know how real it is. Like, you know how real it feels. And the thing is, like, it doesn't quite matter whether those experiences, whether those memories are like factually completely accurate. What matters is like those are real memories of real feelings, and something like that happened. And when you experience it, you know that is the case because you just feel it as a truth in yourself. So now let's get into some footage of this second session. So I used breathwork to alter my state a little bit, and then more feelings came up regarding having to be woken up, and like the transition from like a sleepy comfortable state to like something that I wasn't ready for. And this manifested itself as like a lot of emotional pain, and at first I didn't really know what it was about. So what I just did was I felt into it and expressed it as much as possible, which is how you process it. And my girlfriend was filming it at the time and helping me do that. Yeah, so you'll see me sometimes do this, like I'm hitting the mattress. I'm hitting it with my flat hand so that I don't hurt myself. You have to do this in a safe way. But when you feel mixed emotions, especially it could be anger, especially when there could be anger in there, or if there could be frustration or hatred or rage, make your body congruent with what you're feeling, because then you get deeper into it, you get more insights, and that's why I'm being like that. So this is just me weeping, and the thing is, I'm weeping about something old, right? This is not like, I'm not sad in the present that I had to wake up. This is, by this point I'm realizing this is something so deep, so visceral, so enormous, and so core to my very being, or what I think is my very being. And that's the thing with very early trauma, it always feels like something that's like, it's so big, it's everywhere, it's a part of, it's like who you are, kind of, or like it's that thing that is always there that you didn't even realize was always there, but it's so big and so huge, and your whole life has been run by it. That's what that feels like. So normally what happens after you do quite a bit of feeling work is like then the insights come. And the insights help you integrate this, what you learned into your present day reality, and actually help you make behavior changes. The big thing with insights is like they come after you've already processed the emotions. People just work on an insight level, and then they have insights and they change their beliefs, and they hope that just because they believe different things now and they had these insights that they will change their behavior. Sometimes that works, oftentimes it doesn't work, and the reason why is because those beliefs that you changed were there in the first place because of like this hidden, buried seed or root of emotional unprocessed pain that you never addressed. So you have to like dig that up and address it, and after that you get the insights that you need to change your behavior, which is what I'm doing here. And now I've done quite a bit of ugly crying, quite a bit of like hitting the mattress, quite a bit of feeling, and like by this time what I remember is that I had flashbacks of being poked and prodded as I was a baby and like in my mother still, and somehow there's like a sense of I'm being born but I'm not ready to be born, and I could feel like hands poking me in the butt, like, yeah. And it's very, very strange how creepily real this gets. I remember that I started to feel hands poking me in the butt, and like there's a real sense of like, get off me, I'm not ready, don't wake me up, don't make me do this, I wanna like go back, I don't wanna be born yet. And I'm very sure that that's what it's about, because later I asked my mother, like, was I born late? Was I born early? What happened? And she said like, yeah, you were 2 weeks late, and they gave me a medication to make the birth happen. And so that completely explains that I remember this sense of don't make me do it yet. Like normally a baby is supposed to take the lead in getting born. It's supposed to give the signal to the mother like, hey, let's go, I'm ready to be born. And in my case, I wasn't ready. I hadn't given that signal yet. And the signal was coming externally through a medication, which has had a profound impact on my life, I think, because that hasn't just worked on how I feel when someone tries to wake me up, which is becoming a symbol for getting born, right? But also, I just always react very strongly when people try to get me to do something while I'm into something else. I always have this sense of not being ready. Even when I plan to go to a festival or something, and I'm super excited about it until the very week before, and then I'm not ready. Or I say, hey, let's hang out tonight to a friend, and I'm super stoked about hanging out, and then it's time to actually go there, and I don't feel like I'm ready, and I'm not ready to go to bed. Also a big thing, I could get very, very emotional about it being bedtime. Like as an adult, as a 28-year-old adult, I could get really childishly emotional when it was time to go to sleep. Like really throw a fit if I didn't stop myself. And turns out there was also just a sense of something dragging me, pulling me, not being ready. After the session, I knew it was about not being ready to be born. So this is the moment where I got some insights. That will just happen naturally. It's good to like talk through them if you're doing this with another person, which I definitely recommend.
Right side. Yeah. Oh my God, that makes sense. That's why I always have a weird feeling here, maybe. I don't know.
What is it? Tension?
Yeah.
So this is barely audible, unfortunately, but what I said here was, that's why I always have a weird feeling here. Honestly, this is 2 years ago. I don't remember where here was, but then Maria asks of touching, and I say, Yes, touching. So, and I think I meant someone touching me. And so this can happen. You get flashbacks of physical sensations that suddenly have a new meaning. Of you suddenly get why you have these. If you integrate correctly, you suddenly know why you have these physical sensations come up.
It's hot and it's brown. And it's kind of... It's hot and it's brown and it's contracting. It's tense.
So it's hot and it's brown and it's contracted and it's dense. That doesn't make any sense, but that's a shadow work technique that is very, very basic. You should always apply it. When you're getting a feeling or a sensation, always ask, what color is it? What texture is it? Is it moving? Like, try to get a visual description of it. That just helps to get into it firmly. And then a good question to ask is, what does it want? And so you can hear my girlfriend very softly asking, what does it want?
What does it want?
And you can ask yourself this without thinking, just by asking it internally, sending like a message and just waiting what comes back. And I do this, and I'm like, what does it want? And it says it wants to go back and do it for real. I mean, that's what I wrote down, and that's what I'm going to say here.
Go back and do it for real.
Mm.
To go back and do it for real. Oh my god, it makes so much sense. For the longest time, I've had this very weird feeling of, my life's just being for practice. Everything I did in my life is not really real. Just like, yeah, I'm gonna go back and like do it right later. When I've been back into the womb, finish what I started there, got fully prepared, and then come back and so I couldn't feel like full enthusiasm about everything because I just didn't feel like my choices were fully real because I just had this feeling of everything being for practice.
Yeah, so after a session like that, you'll probably also find yourself saying, oh my god, that makes so much sense. This makes so much sense. See, that's the insights, because you've been working at one of the deeper levels, like the second line or the first line, and then the brain rebalances itself, and also the third line, like your thoughts, your concepts, your ideas, your beliefs, they also have to attenuate to that. They have to like change, adapt to that and integrate that. And so you will have, on a conscious level, an integration process which gives you the insights, and things start making sense. And because some pain has been taken off from a deeper layer, then also your beliefs and thoughts and attitudes change, and then that will feel like having an insight. And the insight that I have here is that I've always had a feeling with me that's like my life is just for practice. And I think this could be relatable to people, neurotic people like me. My life is just for practice. Everything I do, it's not for real yet. And I remember writing this in my diary, in my journals, all the way from when I was like 20, 22, 20, just in my early 20s. I always wrote this, like, this is just for practice. I feel like this is just for practice. I'm just practicing. Nothing I do feels like it's for real. And I feel like at some point I'm just gonna like go back and do it all over again and do it for real this time. Do it well, do it fully. And now I know why I've always carried that feeling that I just do things for practice and it doesn't count or it's not real yet. As a newborn, I wanted to still go back and finish my cycle of development. Basically, I was interrupted. I was like almost done growing in my mother's belly, and then like the medication forced me to like not completely finish that, and like a part of me always wants to like completely go back, finish what I started, and then live my life fully. And that's what I uncover here.
So it wants to go back and do everything again, finish the development in the womb that I didn't get to finish, and then do everything fully and live my life fully.
Go back to the womb, finish what I started there. Yeah. I had no idea that this was inside me, and that's the stuff. That's the crazy stuff that just comes out. And when it comes out, you feel that it's true, even though it's crazy. Honestly, watching this again, I didn't remember it anymore. It's also like it works on a different level. Like it's very important to write these insights down if you want to have a good integration process, because you're in such a different state in a session like that that you also easily forget, just like a dream.
I'm ready for the world. I've made the development that I needed to make. So this tension has really served its purpose. But for the longest time I just wanted to go back to the place where I got stuck, back to the place that I didn't get to finish. Because then I would have been ready for life, ready to see everything fully, ready to appreciate it fully, ready to participate fully, which I didn't do. You know, because I was just thrown into this world with, you know, the roof wasn't built yet. There was still plastic on the walls, and, you know, I didn't have the furniture yet. The door was just a hole, there was no door. It's like, yeah, just, you know, make the best of it. And I always just wanted to go back and build it completely. So I couldn't take my life seriously. But I'm built fully now. I know it. Yes.
Yes, I'm saying now I feel ready to participate fully, to live my life fully, to appreciate the world fully. And I've never felt ready to participate fully in life. And it's something that I know I shared this with some people. Maybe you know somebody, send them this video. So this is a symbolization. So it's like a visual that I'm getting, like my subconscious mind is producing a visual now that is like a good metaphor. The brain works with metaphors. So what I'm saying is, you know, my house wasn't fully built yet. The furniture was still in plastic. There was no door. The door is just a hole. And I'm saying that not to be cryptic, but because that's what I'm seeing in my mind. And then as I'm seeing it, I'm interpreting it. And then I also know what it means. But first I'm seeing it. That's how the subconscious often works in these sessions. Also in dreams, but that's a different story. So yeah, I'm seeing this room where like the furniture is still in plastic and it's not decorated yet. And there's no door yet. And I've always felt like I am that room that's just not finished yet, and just like go live your life with like half a product, half a room, and you can't fully live in it yet. You can't close the door yet. And I've always wanted to go back and build the room for real. I think this also has a lot to do with my inability to finish things, finish projects, which is an ADHD symptom, but it also feels related to this, honestly, because finishing is somehow triggering to me. Finishing something, finishing a project. Usually when I'm at 75%, I really get a strong sense that I need to do something else. Of course, I've learned to push through that, you know, with varying rates of success, but it's just always been there, that super motivated until it's almost done, and then I just feel compelled to do something else. And the way this works is like often we are unconsciously driven to avoid things that would just remind us of something that we didn't get, right? So, for example, a child whose parents never touched them or never loved them in like a physical way will avoid hugs as an adult. Like as an adult, they won't like to be hugged. Why? You know, you would assume that someone who was never hugged by their parents would love to be touched, you know, because they didn't get enough, so now they can make up for it, right? But usually what happens is that getting hugged would remind them too much of the pain of not being hugged, so then they prefer to not have it. Of course, it's an unconscious process, they're not aware of it. And I think similarly, finishing a project would remind me too much of not being finished myself in my development as an unborn baby, which is why I find all these reasons to not finish projects. Of course, it can sound like a bit of a stretch, you know, and it's not really useful to like philosophize about these things. It's only when it's an insight that's produced by a feeling session that you can say like, oh, probably there's something to it because the feeling is real, right? So I'm not saying you should endlessly speculate about why you have weird symptoms. I'm saying you should do feeling work if you feel drawn to it. Do shadow work. You know, apply to join my coaching group and watch my other videos about it in this playlist that I will link. Yeah, I think this was enough. Thank you guys for watching. Click like if you like this video, send it to a friend. I stopped spamming my videos to friends, so you're gonna have to do it for me. Thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate it. See you next time. Ciao.